Hey everyone, what's up? Today I'm going to show you how to create an amazing glass effect in Illustrator. This style is called Glassmorphism, and it's super trendy right now. It gives a modern, sleek vibe to illustrations and UI designs. The best part? It's super easy to pull off in Illustrator using just 4 layers: a background, a blurred copy of it, a transparent reflection layer, and a noise texture to top it all off. Trust me, by the end of this tutorial, your design will look so realistic, people will think it's a 3D render, so let's dive right into Illustrator. First, let's set up the document. I've created a new 1920 by 1080 pixel document with RGB color mode and a resolution of 300 ppi. These settings will ensure our design looks sharp and vibrant. Also, just a quick heads up. We'll be using several different panels in this tutorial. If you don't see a panel in your workspace, you can open it from the window menu. Now, let's start with the background. This can be anything: a vibrant image, geometric shapes, or even a cool pattern. My recommendation is to use something high quality with sharp details and vibrant colors, because the glass effect looks best when it has something interesting to blur behind it. To add your background, go to the File menu and select Place. Browse for the image you want to use, and make sure to uncheck the link option. Then, hit Enter, and click anywhere on the artboard to place the image. Once it's placed, I align it to the center using the Align panel, and resize it to fit the artboard with the Selection tool. After that, I duplicate the background. To do this, I first select the background, then press Ctrl or Command plus C to copy it. Then I press Ctrl or Command plus F to paste it directly in front. Now, if you drag the top layer, you'll see that we have 2 identical backgrounds. Now let's move on to the frosted glass effect. This is where the magic happens. First, select the top background layer, the one we copied earlier, and apply a Gaussian blur. To do this, open the Appearance panel, then go to Effects at the very bottom. From there, choose Blur and then Gaussian Blur. A dialog box will pop up where you can set the radius. I'm setting mine to 60 pixels, but you can adjust it to get the level of blur you want. The higher the radius, the more blurry it'll look. Already it's starting to take on that frosted glass vibe. Next, let's make it even cooler by adding a glass effect. Go back to Effects, then select Distort and choose Glass. In the settings, set the distortion to 12, the smoothness to 7, and make sure to select Frosted as the texture. Finally, set the scaling to 200%. Take a look at that. Doesn't it already look so cool? It's starting to feel like a real frosted glass surface. Alright, now let's create a clipping mask to give our glass effect a proper shape. To do this, first, grab the rectangle tool and draw a rectangle over the blurred background. If you like, you can round the corners using the corner widgets or set a specific corner radius in the Properties panel. Rounded corners tend to look better for this effect, but you can experiment with different shapes too. Once you've drawn your shape, make 2 duplicates of it by holding Alt or Option and dragging the rectangle. These duplicates will be used later for the reflection layer and the noise layer. Now, position the original rectangle wherever you want your glass effect to appear. I'm going to align it to the center of the artboard using the Align panel. Once it's in place, select both the rectangle and the blurred background. Right-click and choose Make Clipping Mask from the menu. Alternatively, you can use the shortcut Ctrl or Command plus 7. For easy, I will lock the original background using shortcut Ctrl or Command plus 2. There you go. Your frosted glass now has a defined shape. Now, here's a small problem you might notice. If you move the clipping mask, the crop moves along with it, and that's no good if you want to adjust the blur inside the shape independently. So how do we fix this? Let's switch over to the Layers panel. Expand Layer 1, and you'll see the clip group we just created. Expand the clip group, and you'll see what's inside. The rectangle is on top, and the blurred image is below. Here's what we need to do. Select the rectangle layer inside the clip group and click the small dot next to it. This dot indicates that the sublayer is now selected. With the rectangle selected, hover your mouse over the edge of the shape. You can now move, resize, or rotate the rectangle frame while keeping the blur effect in place. Important? Make sure you don't click on the main body of the shape itself. If you do, it'll take the crop along with it, and we don't want that. To add a realistic touch, let's make a reflection layer. Take one of the duplicate rectangles and place it directly over the clipping mask. Now go to the gradient panel and apply a gradient to the fill. Set both gradient colors to white. Then, adjust the opacity. Make the first color 20% and the second one 0%. Change the gradient angle to 45 degrees for a diagonal reflection. Next, let's add a gradient to the stroke for sharp, subtle reflections along the edges. Click on the stroke, then apply a gradient in the gradient panel. Add a new white color to the gradient slider at 50%. Adjust the opacity of the three gradient colors from left to right, 30%, 10%, and 30%. Then fine-tune the midpoint positions. Set the first one to 35% and the second one to 65%. Finally, change the gradient angle to negative 100 degrees and align the stroke to the outside in the stroke panel. Look at that. Those soft reflections make it look so realistic. Now, for the finishing touch, we can add a noise texture. Take the last duplicate rectangle and place it on top of all the other layers. Set its fill color to black. Then go to the Effects menu in the Appearance panel. Under Artistic, choose Film Grain. When the Settings dialog pops up, set the grain, highlights, and intensity sliders to the maximum. Once that's done, click OK. To blend this layer seamlessly, open the Transparency panel, set the blending mode to Overlay, and reduce the opacity to around 20%. And now we're done. Look at how beautiful this looks. But how do we change the image without having to recreate everything from scratch? Because we do not want to do that, right? So, for this step, go down to the Links panel, and we can see the list of all images in the document. Let's select one and click on this icon to relink it. I'm going to change this to a different image, so there's one. Now let's select the other image in the Links panel, relink it, and select that same image again. Doing it this way enables us to change the image and keep everything in the same position. That's it. This is how to create Glassmorphism effect in Adobe Illustrator. I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and learned something new. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more awesome design tips. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers!